Hello and good morning to everyone, and welcome to the second RURACTIVE Open Call webinar. My name is Josipa, and I'm a part of the F6S team managing this RURACTIVE Open Call for innovators. Today, I'm happy to have many people joining for this second webinar, and I'm joined by my colleague Luisa, who will help me later on in answering questions, but also by one of the managers of RURACTIVE project, Katerina, who is also a work package 4 leader, who will be explaining a bit more to you about the RURACTIVE process and also the RURACTIVE challenges. Without further ado, I'll start just by saying that we are very happy to have such a diverse audience joining us, including some of our, as I can see, Dynamo partners, stakeholders, but also innovators interested in applying to this open call for innovators. Our goal for this second webinar is to go briefly over the open call, but also to go through the process on how to apply, to go through really in detail on presenting the challenges, but basically focusing mostly on answering most of your questions. So all of this second part of the webinar, we'll try to keep the presentations shorter this time, and then focusing on your questions alone, since we have quite a lot of interested participants in this initiative. Before we begin, I just want to say a few, let's say, housekeeping notes. As you might have seen, this webinar is being recorded and it will be available for your reference afterwards. It will be available both on our RURACTIVE website, but then also on our RURACTIVE YouTube channel. As you might have seen, this is a webinar where most of you are attendees, and only the three of us are the panelists. So please, I would ask if you would like to, during the Q&A session, say a couple of words, ask some questions live. I would ask you to either use the Q&A box or raise your hand and ask the questions there. Well, we'll make you the panelist, and you'll be allowed to unmute your microphone and speak during the Q&A session. Any and all questions that you have during the presentations, please don't raise your hand, just ask them in the Q&A box. My colleague Luisa and I will try to answer them during the Q&A session in the end of this call. Okay, I just wanted to say those are a couple of housekeeping notes. So let's dive right into the agenda of today's meeting. So today's second webinar. Right now, we just did the welcome of participants done by me. I'll also go in the open call scope and how to apply. I'll go through briefly in the open call evaluation, after which I'll give the floor to Katerina from Unibot to go briefly in through the challenges briefing. Then we'll devote even more time in the second webinar to your questions for the Q&A section. Okay, so to go right ahead into the open call scope and how to apply, I want to begin with talking briefly about RURACTIVE Open Call for Innovators, as I might know that some of you joined the second webinar for the first time. So I'll briefly go into what is the purpose of RURACTIVE Open Call. So the purpose of RURACTIVE Open Call is to empower the innovators to be able to give solutions for the dynamos that are participating in RURACTIVE projects. A dynamo is a rural community, specifically 12 different rural communities that Katerina will talk about later on, which are aimed at co-creating smart, inclusive, and sustainable solutions for local challenges. So RURACTIVE as a project is funded by the European Commission under the Horizon Europe program. And our goal is basically to our focus is basically to develop smart, tailor-made, place-based, and inclusive solutions within these 12 pilot areas, which we call dynamos. So the 12 pilot areas are located in Ukraine, Italy, Croatia. Two of them are actually in Italy, Croatia, Sweden, Switzerland, Greece, Scotland, UK, Spain, Austria, and Finland. And our goal is to address those rural communities by offering equity-free funding and support for the innovators that offer solutions to the challenges posed by those rural communities. So innovators such as yourself that joined today's call and that will hopefully join the program will collaborate directly with those community members in those 12 different pilot areas or dynamos, the ones that I've mentioned before, in order to refine and deploy solutions. Those solutions are based across fostering just and sustainable transition in rural areas. So those solutions are all encompassed into addressing 6 different key rural developmental drivers or RDDs, as you can see here in this picture. So the rural developmental drivers are all encompassed by 3 cross-cutting priorities, or this is how we call them, or transversal themes, which are social justice and inclusion, climate change mitigation and adaptation, and biodiversity. All those transversal themes or cross-cutting priorities go across all 6 key rural developmental drivers, which are a key link between our different challenges within our Dynamo communities. More about the challenges, like I said, will come in Katerina's presentation later on. So our goal is to address the either sustainable multimodal mobility, energy transition and climate neutrality, local services, health and well-being, or sustainable agri-food systems and ecosystem management, nature-based and cultural tourism, and culture and cultural innovation. All of those themes are based in the focus area of unlocking true rural innovation potential, and are, like I said, key topics within our challenges for this open call. Let's go back to the open call. So why this open call? This open call was initiated to invite the innovators from across Europe in order to develop smart and tailored solutions that address the challenges presented by RURACTIVE's 12 pilot areas. So these solutions are made to address real rural challenges, to foster collaboration between innovators and rural communities, and also to accelerate sustainable development in rural Europe. So what the selected applicants who in the end do take part in the RURACTIVE Innovators program are getting is access to real-life community members and real-life rural setting, and also to be able to contribute to tangible impacts in real-life scenarios. So in this 12 different dynamos, 12 different regions, to contribute to real tangible impact and also societal change, but also to receive close support to replicate their projects, not only across those dynamos, but also even possibly later on beyond. Who can apply to this open call? You can find all of the details, what me, but also Katerina are talking about in our website, but also I strongly suggest that you in detail go through the guidelines for applicants. We have been receiving quite a lot of questions from you, which we're really happy that you are interested in applying and that you want to contribute and join this program and this innovation potential. But all of the details, what I'm saying today at the webinar, what we're also sharing to you through emails and through the website, I would suggest before applying, definitely read the guidelines for applicants. Based on that, you can see that who can apply are startups, SMEs, NGOs, universities, or research centers. The applicants who are eligible, I'll talk about them later on, a bit more about later on, but should be led by either a consortium, so it can be either a single applicant or a consortium made of two entities led by either a startup or an SME. Let me go on in who should apply. So why this open call? I've mentioned before, it's besides the funding that you're getting, so the equity-free funding from the financial support to third parties, you're also getting knowledge and tools to deploy and refine your solutions across different community members in real life rural settings. You will also get guidance from the RURACTIVE team to foster collaboration between yourselves as the innovators and also rural communities to gain access to the stakeholders in those rural communities and to accelerate overall sustainable development in rural areas across Europe. Besides that, you, like I've mentioned before, will be able to contribute to real life tangible impacts and give way to a different societal change to really replicate your ideas, your projects in the regions of those 12 different dynamos across rural Europe. So what are the key benefits for the applicants? Why should you apply to this open call? Like I've mentioned before, it's a tailored support. So selected innovators that join the RURACTIVE Innovators program will have an opportunity to co-develop solutions in real life settings, being able to join two stages of the RURACTIVE program, with the first stage lasting for approximately 2 months, and the second stage basically aimed at deployment and validation of an implementation of those solutions in the real life settings. But besides that, like I've mentioned, you will get equity-free financial support to bring your solutions to life. I will talk about the budget a bit later on, but besides the budget, you will get guidance and mentorship from the local communities, but also from the selected experts within the RURACTIVE project, which will be working directly with you, but also with the local communities, and the opportunity to scale potentially your solution to replicate them in other regions. Which face similar challenges across the RURACTIVE project and across the 12 different dynamos in order for you to receive broader business opportunities. Besides that, you're getting the real life, like we said, application of your challenges, of your solutions in the challenge scenario to be able to combine both digital, social, business model innovations to achieve real, tangible societal change applicable directly and focused to be implemented and accepted and adapted to the Dynamos territories. Who can apply? Like I've mentioned previously, eligible applicants are all individuals, organizations registered in EU member states, plus the associated countries and specific eligible regions, like Ukraine, for example. You can find the full list of eligible countries and eligible EU member states in our guideline for applicants. Please note that the funding for innovators based in Switzerland, so including both companies and SMEs, for their participation is eligible, but the funding will be provided by the Swiss government or the State Secretariat for Education, Research and Innovation, for all of their 2024 calls for Horizon Europe. Also, a note for the single entities from Switzerland, they cannot apply. So the condition to receive funding from the Swiss government, this is imposed by the Swiss government, so since it's funding coming from them, it requires a successful application by an institution forming a consortium. So no single applicants applying from Switzerland, only a consortium entirely composed of Swiss partners. Like I've said previously, for all other applicants, the team requirement is that the applications can be submitted either as a single applicant or a consortium made out of two partners, where one partner who is leading the consortium is an SME or a startup. Moving on to the innovation call budget. I've here presented a short, let's say, table that showcases the total available funding for this call, comprised in two different stages, as we will have the Innovators program lasting for approximately 2 months, where for the first stage, where the first 2 months, the innovator selected will receive a 5,000 fixed amount, so 5,000 euros per the solution for both single applicants, but also for the consortium. That program lasts for 2 months, where their innovators will be able to travel to the Dynamo location. They will report on the activities developed. They will showcase their solution and their idea for the innovation and solving of the challenge at the Dynamo location. So besides traveling to the Dynamo location, you will also there be doing a code tuning workshop with the Dynamo's organization plus the local stakeholders. So during the code tuning workshop, that will allow both you, the innovators, to present your project to the local community, but also to the local RURACTIVE partners and the Dynamos to receive feedback, to really code tune your solution to the local background, to give you all the data, all the inputs that you need in order for you to create a detailed implementation plan. So that plan will include the technical integration with the Dynamos, and then in cases where it's needed, you will also require the ethical committee in case this is needed to submit the research protocol, but this also depends on each of your country's specific laws. So after the first stage ends, the stage one is finalized by submitting a deliverable, which we'll talk about also a bit later on the project stages and reporting. And you will receive the 5,000 per that solution. After the first stage ends, you will enter into the internal evaluation, where you'll be evaluated by our internal team plus the Dynamo that belongs to your solution. After which you can enter the stage 2, which lasts for 18 months in total, and where the innovators are receiving much more funds. So the total available funding for this innovation call is 1 million euros, 200,000. The contribution to all accepted third parties and all accepted projects will be 100%. The only thing is that the maximum funding for each third party is 60,000 euros. So each partner in the project will receive 60,000 euros. So that's the maximum funding in any form. No participant can be awarded with plus more than one project and more than 60,000 euros. The maximum grant to be funded per sub-project, so for the whole consortia of a project, is 90,000 euros. So this is only for a consortium consisting of two entities. And then, like I said, funding for researchers and innovators based in Switzerland will be funded and provided by the Swiss government or their state secretariat for education, research, and innovation. Going briefly, because I've already started talk about the timeline, I'll try to explain now the timeline of this first stage of the open call. Then we'll go more in depth on the both stages, on the project stages and the reporting that you are supposed to do in order to receive funding in the later stages. So, as you know, the call launched on the December 6th, 2024, and the deadline for the submission is coming up soon. It's actually February 5th at 5 p.m. or 17 Central European Time or Brussels time. The evaluation period will last from the moment that you apply until March, and the winners announcement. Sorry, this is supposed to be saying March, but not April. My apologies for that. The winners announcement will be made in the end of March, with the implementation phase for from the second stage on will be from the May until December. So you can see here the full showcase of the timeline together with the stages. The stage one having being named co-tuning and working with the dynamos. Like I said, you will have approximately a month up to 2 months to travel to the dynamo location and work together with the dynamos on that location. After which we have 1 month or less of evaluation and selection of projects for the stage two. So out of the pool of the dynamos that enter to the RURACTIVE project, not all of them will be selected to go into stage two. It really depends on the feasibility of your project idea, on the dynamos and local stakeholders' acceptance of the idea, if it's tailored and if it can be really made to be functioning and being implemented in the dynamo location. So like I started talking about before. So starting in May of 2025, we'll begin with the internal evaluation of the innovators that were chosen in the stage one to be selected for the stage two. This will begin and last for a month. The successful completion of the reactive stage one is obligatory for you to enter to stage two. And the goals of stage one are for you to travel to the dynamo location, to run a co-working, co-tuning workshop, to present your solution to the dynamos, to present to the local stakeholders, which will allow for you to present your project to the local community, but also for the dynamo partners to give and receive feedback and co-tune that solution to the local background. Then also, the goal of the stage one is to develop a detailed implementation plan based on which you will be evaluated to enter the stage two. Also, you should, for the stage two, during the stage two, you should develop and implement a solution within the selected dynamo location. You should validate and test that solution and access impacts of the solution. Basically, the goals of the stage two are to complete the development and implementation of your solution proposal within the selected dynamo location or the selected challenge. to validate and test that, to access the impacts of that solution, but then also to have a common agreement on the intellectual property and any licensing models if it's necessary for your situation. Also to have the signature of the IP document and licensing models to be done during the stage 2. Which lasts for 18 months, like I've said, starting in June of 2025 and lasting until November of 2026, where you will be working really hand in hand with the dynamos directly. Then on to the project stages and reporting. So I've mentioned the first stage and the second stage. The outcome of those stages are the reports based on which we will release funding to you and to all of the innovators that are selected to come into stage 1 and stage 2. So an outcome of the stage 1 is a report of those activities developed and attended during this 2 months. Then our consortium member should approve this report before we release the payment. Then this should be done at least 7 days before the end of stage 1, based on which we will evaluate you in order for you to be eligible to enter the stage 2. Stage 2 has because it lasts for 18 months, has 4 different outcomes and 4 different reports. It has a midterm report, which should be submitted by the last day of the 3 months development in the implementation stage. So once the stage 2 starts, 3 months after 3 months within this second stage, you should, by the last day, submit the midterm report. After which comes the development and implementation phase final report or deliverable, which should be done by you within the 6 months of the development implementation stage. After which we have the midterm validation phase report, which is the first half of validation phase, or 9 months within this process of 18 months. Within that, there is also finally a final report, which is to be submitted by the innovators within 10 days after completing the project. All of those reports, once you submit them, we release a specific amount of funding to all of the innovators, also depending on whether they are a single entity or a consortium made up of 2 entities. All of the details, like I've said, all of these tables, everything you can find described in the guidelines for applicants. Let's go now into how to apply on the platform. As we have noticed, quite a lot of applicants are already starting their applications on the platform, which we're really happy to see. But for those of you who haven't started yet, I want to go briefly over on how to submit your application. So all of the applications must be submitted via F6S official platform. So that is www.f6s.com/RURACTIVE Open Call for Innovators. You can find the correct link in both our guidelines for applicants and our website, and also all of our social media posts, because our communication team is working hard on communicating everything directly with you. Submission period closes on February 5th, like I said, 5 p.m. Central European Time. Please keep in mind that editing is not allowed post-submission. So resubmission requests for your application are possible, but before the deadline. So you can contact support@f6s.com with a subject resubmission request. If there is something missing in your application, if there's something that you want to change or edit, please do that before the deadline, because after the deadline ends, we will no longer be accepting applications, and we won't take those applications into account while doing the evaluation for this call. Application form is available for reference, like I said, on the RURACTIVE website. It must be completed directly on the F6S platform. I will go in the next slide briefly over the documents which are needed from your side, just for you to not to forget something. Also, what I want to say is that decisions by the RURACTIVE Open Call team are final. So once you have, let's say, if you have exceeded the deadline, if you have submitted your application after 5 o'clock Central European time, so 5 o'clock p.m. Central European time, your application will not be considered eligible for this open call. Also, important thing to note is that proposals submitted via any other channels, so either email, LinkedIn, website, or anything else, will be automatically rejected. So please keep in mind to go through the F6S platform. It's very easy for you to open it, to apply, and to go through really all of the questions that are posed there. And I'm coming briefly almost to the end of my presentation. I just want to remind you on the required documents which are needed for your pre-selection. So besides the F6S application on the F6S platform, it is mandatory for you to upload a technical proposal document in the PDF template. Please, I would not wish for anyone to be rejected for the sole reason of not using this template. So please, make sure, go into your application today, go through what you have written so far, and please check if you have uploaded the technical proposal document, which is mandatory, but also can be found on our website. You can just click on the template and it downloads the template automatically for you. Please make sure that you first have used the template, downloaded the template, and have filled it in with all of the required information. And then once you have it filled in, you can upload it directly on the F6S platform. Any and all applications that don't have this technical proposal document made in the template that we have created and shared with you will also not be considered eligible. So like I've mentioned before, please take into account, go through, if you have already started applying, go through your application today and really make sure that you have filled in this technical proposal document. This is something that we will really look into, but if by any chance you have already submitted and want to edit, you still have time within the timeline, so within the deadline until the 5th of February. I will go back to the slides. Again, editing resubmission requests are possible, but before the deadline, with you contacting support@f6s.com with the subject resubmission request. All of these details and all of these emails and everything you can find in both of our website and guidelines for applicants. But we'll make sure now that we have 2 webinars, we'll make sure to send all of these details to you, registered applicants, via email as well. So all of these applications and project-related documents should be made, of course, in the English language. Submissions in any other languages are ineligible and will not be evaluated. Please make sure, besides the technical proposal document, that making sure that you have uploaded it, that you use the F6S platform for your application, and that you have made your application in English. After the submission period ends, so after you apply for the stage 1 or for the RURACTIVE project as a whole, program as a whole, you will post-selection. So all of the innovators who have been notified that they were selected will be required to submit a couple of documents, which those of you who already started their application will notice that it's already there, written in the application form if you have read and agreed with the SME declaration. So you will be required to sign the SME declaration, but also a document with a declaration of honor for you, as well as a RURACTIVE subgrant agreement detailing your involvement in the RURACTIVE program. All of this is, like I've said, available to you on the website, but these are some of the documents that will be required to you post-selection, just for you to keep in mind. I just wanted to, again, really remind you to have the required documents before uploading and finalizing your application with the F6S platform, but also, like I've said, the important thing is to not forget to add the technical proposal in the template. With this, I've tried to keep it as short as possible. I will conclude my part on the open call and all of the important information for you to keep in mind. And now we'll give the floor to Katerina to go through the challenges briefing. So Katerina, please share your screen, and yeah, the floor is yours.
Everyone, thank you, Josefa. I'm gonna share my screen. All right, can you see it?
Yes, just not full.
Wonderful. Yeah, getting there. It's loading.
Yes.
All right, perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Josefa, for introducing me. As Josefa said, I'm part of the University of Bologna team, who's the coordinating entity in RURACTIVE project, and I specifically lead work package 4, which is the work package in the project that has to do with the co-development of solution within the Dynamos. As very importantly, Josefa has pointed out, you are applying not with a generic application, but with an application for a specific Dynamo and a specific challenge. So if you haven't done it yet, please go on the website that Josefa showed you, and you will find there all the challenges in detail. So today I'm just going to give you a very brief overview. I would like also to keep it very short because we have Dynamos here that could answer your question. It's an excellent occasion to gather all the information that you might need to conclude the application. So going through the 12 dynamos that we have the first dynamos located in Finland, in northern Ostrobothnia. The responsible partner for these dynamos is the University of Oulu. The territory on which the dynamo operates is the Ljoki River Basin. It's a coastal and inner area in which there's about 10,000 inhabitants spread out onto 14 different villages. As Josefa said, building blocks of the RURACTIVE project are rural development driver. So in this case, the challenges that Dynamo number 1 has presented, challenge number 1 and 2, are targeting local service health and well-being and sustainable multimodal mobility. Challenge number 1 is requesting innovative solution to create a digital platform for operationalizing the village janitor system. And challenge number 2, so within the first RDD of local services, health and well-being, and challenge number 2 is asking for, again, a digital platform, this time for bettering logistics. So to manage to find synergies and organizing the transportation of goods in remote rural areas of the territory of the Dynamo. Moving on, we are going to Austria in Südburgenland. We have 2 partners responsible for this Dynamo, BAB and VOAB. And the territories is the one of Südburgenland, which is a mountainous territory. It spans over an area of 1,471 square kilometers, and it engages about 72 communities. There's a number of RDDs that are targeted by the challenges that this Dynamo has brought forward. It's 3 challenges in this case. And the RDD that are targeting are nature-based and cultural tourism, culture and cultural innovation, sustainable agri-food systems and ecosystem management, local services, health and well-being, as well as sustainable multimodal mobility. The first challenge, it's about finding smart and digital tourism and accessibility solutions for southern Burgenland. The second one has to do with grape harvest and is about finding an innovative cooling system for the grape harvest to preserve quality. And finally, the third one, which is challenge number 5, is cycling without age. So it's targeting older people and people with disability, giving access to cycling. The third dynamos that we have is one of the 2 dynamos in Spain. In this case is Diputación Zamora. And again, here we have 2 partners, Diputación de Zamora and Fundación Cartif. The territory is the one of the Zamora province, is both mountainous and an inner area. There's 167,200 people on the territory, on an area of about 10,561 square kilometers. And there's 520 population centers on this territory. They also have proposed 3 challenges to the innovators that have to do with culture and cultural innovation, sustainable agri-food system and ecosystem management, and local services, health and well-being. So the first challenge in the culture and cultural innovation RDD is called digital revitalization of rural medieval heritage. Challenge number 7 is asking for innovative tools for fire risk monitoring, so to monitor real-time fire risks. And challenge number 8 has to do with the local services health and well-being RDD, and is asking for digital healthcare for dispersed rural population. Going on to dynamo number 4 is our dynamo in the UK, Northeast Scotland. 2 partners again here, Grobits and the James Hutton Institute. Northeast Scotland is an inner area with about 915,000 inhabitants on an area of 16,274 kilometers. And they are targeting 3 RDD with the challenges they have proposed for the Open Call for Innovators: sustainable agri-food systems and ecosystem management, energy transition and climate neutrality, and local services, health and well-being. So we go from challenge 9 to 11. Challenge 9 is asking for technologies or tools to help Scottish farmers plan, measure, and also monitor uses of their land better. Challenge 10 asks for digital tools to help level up the monetary benefits, but also other benefits that are flowing back to rural communities from the green energy sector. And finally, challenge 11 is asking for artistic and creative and also cultural solutions to help older people stay mentally and physically active and also sociable, enabling them to take a proactive approach to improving their health and their well-being. Moving to dynamo number 5, this is the second dynamo in Spain, and we move to Andalusia. In this case, the partner responsible for the dynamo is Asociación Balam API, and is the territory of Andalusia, which is an inner rural area with 28,620 inhabitants on an area of 923.6 square kilometers. In this case, we have one single challenge that is in the sustainable agri-food system and ecosystem management RDD. And what the dynamo is asking is a user-friendly digital platform to calculate the water footprint of agri-food products, as well as diets and recipes. Dynamo number 6 is our dynamo in Greece, and it's led by the Ecomuseum Zagori. It's the Zagori region, which is a mountainous region of Greece. There's 3,800 inhabitants on an area of 995.3 square kilometers. The RDDs that are targeted by the challenges proposed by the dynamos is sustainable multimodal mobility, sustainable agri-food systems and ecosystem management, and nature-based and cultural tourism. So challenge number 13 is the one that has to do with sustainable multimodal mobility and is asking for solution in multimodal mobility that are community-driven. Challenge 14 has to do with water, and specifically is asking for water-saving solutions for rural communities. And finally, challenge 15, which is the third for these dynamos, is titled Accessibility in Nature-Based and Cultural Tourism for People Living with Disabilities. Dynamo number 7 is an Ukrainian dynamo in the Zakarpattia region. The lead partner is Forza. As we said, is a mountainous territory in the Zakarpattia region. It has 1.26 million inhabitants on an area of 12,800 square kilometers. And the three RDDs that are sort of targeted by the challenges brought forward by the dynamos are sustainable agri-food systems and ecosystem management, nature-based and cultural tourism, local services, health and well-being. So challenge number 16 ask for innovative solution to improve beekeeping productivity and honey quality in high altitude Zakarpattia. Challenge 17 is asking for solution that can improve data availability in the tourism and hospitality sector. While challenge 18 asks for smart street lights for increased safety of inhabitants and tourists as well. Dynamo number 8 is one of the two Italian dynamos that we have. And in this case is the Fiastra Valle. And the organization of these dynamos is APS Borgo Futuro. It is an inner rural area with 11,764 inhabitants on an area of 180,000 square kilometers. And the RDDs that are targeted by the challenges are culture and cultural innovation, sustainable agri-food systems and ecosystem management, and local services and well-being. The first of the three challenges of the dynamos, challenge number 19, has to do with a local festival that already exists in the area, and it's the Borgo Futuro Festival. And what they are asking is sustainability and climate resilient infrastructure for the festival. Challenge number 20, we go back to the theme of water, is smart water management solution for drought resilient agro ecosystems. And finally, challenge 21, the last for these dynamos, is setting up a direct distribution system for a sustainable local market. We move then to Croatia. In Zadar for dynamo number 9, we have two partners here, Grad Zadar and Urbanex. Zadar is the only archipelago that we have with 1,455 inhabitants on an area of 25 square kilometers. They have proposed to innovators two challenges, and both challenges are targeting the RDD of sustainable agri-food systems and ecosystem management. Challenge number 22 ask for innovative solution for bio-waste management and reuse on island, while challenge number 23 is asking for an innovative system for wastewater treatment to transform wastewater treatment into a resource. We go back to Italy for dynamo number 10, and we move to Abruzzo. And the organization in these dynamos is Borghin, Rete di Imprese. It is a mountainous and inner area with approximately 1,294,000 inhabitants on an area of 10,831 square kilometers. We have three RDDs targeted by these dynamos, which is culture and cultural innovation, local services, health and well-being, and sustainable multimodal mobility. And we have three challenges brought forward by the dynamos. Challenge 24 is asking to enhance shared multimodal mobility services. Challenge 25 asks for fostering habitat beyond welfare. And challenge 26, which is the last one for these dynamos, is titled Building Bridges, Enhancing Community Cooperation Through Shared and Community-Based Governance Systems. We then move to Sweden in Gotland. In this case is one island, and the two partners responsible for these dynamos are Region Gotland and Uppsala University. The island has about 62,000 inhabitants on an area of 3,184 square kilometers. And they have two RDDs targeted by the challenges, and they have two challenges as well for innovators. The two RDDs are energy transition and climate neutrality and sustainable multimodal mobility. And challenge 27 asks for digital tools for guidance and prioritization of energy measures in the properties and activities of organizations that are volunteer-based and non-profit. While Challenge 28 is asking for a sustainable and inclusive carpooling innovative solution. Finally, our last dynamo is in Switzerland. It's the Turbel-Mosel Region, and the lead partner in this case is the Berner Fachhochschule. It's a mountainous territory. It's actually a village, as you can see, with 498 inhabitants, so quite tiny, on an area of 17.6 square kilometers. The Dynamos is targeting with their challenges 3 RDDs: sustainable agri-food systems and ecosystem management, local services, health and well-being, and cultural innovation. And they have proposed to innovators 2 challenges. Challenge 29 is called the Commons of Torbel, and is asking for efficient water usage for agricultural irrigation. And finally, Challenge 30, which is the last one of this list, is the revitalization of the village center for the creation of common indoor and outdoor meeting places. This is it in relation to this short overview of the challenges. I have noticed that there are already questions for the Dynamos in the Q&A chat. But this is a great occasion because we were a bit faster to, leave a lot of time for your final questions directly to Dynamos. But I leave the floor to Josefa to moderate this part.
Thank you. Thank you, Katerina. Well, thank you again for really giving, the understanding of the problems or the challenges of the dynamos that all of the innovators aim to solve through this open call. It was an excellent walkthrough, and I really hope that this inspired and provided more clarity on the opportunities and on the challenges available in the open call, which the innovators can apply to. Like you said, we've reached the Q&A portion of our webinar. I want to thank to you all who has already submitted your questions through the Q&A box. While both me and Katerina were talking and having our own presentations, my colleague Luisa has been working hard and answering all of the questions. So if some questions that you might have but have already been answered, please take a look at the Q&A box if the question has already been answered. But to remind you, this is a great chance for you to clarify any doubts about the open call or about the challenges. Both Katerina, Luisa, and I are here to help. So please feel free to either raise your hand or we'll just go through the chat. I will give you allowance to talk so you can ask your questions. I see that some people have already had their hand raised. So Karim, you'll raise your hand, so I will allow you to talk and ask your question. Go ahead.
Yes, hi, thank you, Josefa. So the question is related to challenge number 8, and particularly the statement which says that connectivity in the territories with connectivity problems will be ensured through remote satellite connection options. So if you could please clarify that statement, like who is going to provide the remote satellite connection? Is it the dynamo or is it expected from the applicant, or what is the situation, please?
Could you just repeat? Sure, thanks for the question. Could you just repeat? You said it was challenge 8, am I correct?
Challenge 8, yes.
The question for Jose.
Sorry, the Zamora, yeah.
Exactly. So it's the digital healthcare for dispersed rural population.
Yeah.
We usually have people from the Dynamo here in the call. I see that Jose is here. He is our Dynamo representative, so I'll give him allowance to talk so he can answer your question if he knows these details. Thanks again, Karim.
Super. Sorry, there is a follow-up question. I mean, do we ask it at the same time if Jose comes online, or should I ask that follow-up question in the Q&A and then come back?
You can ask it right ahead. I already gave Jose's here. I already gave him permission to talk, so he can answer directly because he's the representative of the Dynamo and of the challenge. So yeah, Jose, go ahead and
Hello.
answer if you
Good
can.
morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Karim.
Hi, hi.
The
Buenos
question.
dias.
Thanks for your interest in our province. The satellite connection should be provided by the organization, your organization or the company who that will implement the solution.
I mean, this is a like mandatory prerequisite because, I mean, we're talking.
It depends on the connectivity in the territory where we would implement the solution. But if it's necessary, the organization, or the company to implement the solution should provide that internet connection in case that usual connectivity is lost.
Okay, I understand. I think I understand now. So we're not talking about providing satellite connection to the whole province of Zamora.
No.
Okay.
No.
So, okay,
Only to the municipalities where we are going to implement the solution.
but
Perhaps
okay,
five
understood.
municipalities that
Five.
they will be very close, all of them.
I see, understand. Okay. And in that case, for example, because and this is the follow-up question now, or questions if that's possible. So you say, for example, that those municipalities also have some kind of infrastructure available for telehealth consultations, for example,
Yes.
like audio, video.
Yes, indeed. We
Yeah,
can provide some premises or infrastructure for the telehealth solutions.
that is going to be made available by the municipality itself.
Yes, right.
Okay,
That's right.
super. Now, once we have the telehealth infrastructure in place, who is going to actually be at the other end, like provide the telehealth? Like, is this going to be connected to like the patient doctor, or I mean, who's going to provide those medical sessions? I don't know if
private doctors. We have to focus on a private health system because public health system is not easy to be involved in this solution.
Yeah. But okay, I mean that's very much possible. But this cost is going to be borne by who? The private consultations, medical consultations, once we have this telehealth infrastructure in place.
That should be provided by the organization that will be chosen to implement the solution.
Okay, but I mean this is again a kind of a huge cost. If we're talking about 170,000, I think is the size of the population.
No, but please just take into account that we are going to focus only in some municipalities. I cannot give you a proper number, but perhaps just imagine 5 municipalities. So the population for 5 municipalities could be between 200, 500 people that are more than 65 years old.
Okay. Again, assuming it's 500 people or even 200 people, we're talking about providing private medical advice or consultations. It's an open-ended cost, over a 16-month. It's quite significant as a budget. So that is where the confusion is. I mean, that is if we go that route, like we have another. I mean, our solution is a little bit. Can adapt to this in the sense that it's also powered by AI, and this can be also done via AI. But I just want to make sure that this cost, like how to frame this cost.
Yes, I understand your concern. Please, you have to write that in your solution, taking into account your cost and your budget. For example, if you cannot assure a private doctor on a daily basis, perhaps you have to implement a solution with a doctor on 1 day a week, for example, for only 100 people, you know. So we cannot give you more examples in this regard.
I see. So we need to like scope it, quantify.
Yes, right.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
after,
Thank you,
if
Jose.
your solution is chosen, we will adapt that solution to the municipalities, to the people who can be participants in the solution. So don't worry about that.
Thank you. Karim, any other questions?
Yeah, just the last statement by Jose, because I think that's a very important, the last sentence, Jose, sorry, if you don't mind, can you just clarify this last point you made?
The last point, yes.
Yeah,
no,
you said don't worry about that, but I missed the first part.
No, I told you that if your solution is chosen and we have to implement the solution in the territory of the province of Zamora, we will adapt your solution to the people that you have written in the proposal. Okay, don't worry.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks to you.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you, Jose. Jose, while we have you here, I noticed that some, let me just, sorry. While we have you here, I noticed that we had some questions in the Q&A related to the challenge 8 as well. So just give me a second to find it. Okay, this has been answered already. Challenge 9. Okay, yes. So there is a question from Anastasia saying our solution addresses Zamora Challenge 8, digital healthcare for dispersed rural population. Within the time frame and budget provided for the project, is it sufficient to develop and present the solution, or do we need a pilot demonstration with real users as well? If it's a second case, are there local stakeholders going to be a part of the solution known to the public, or do we need to include outreach activities in the solution? Sorry that it's been a long question.
Yes, it's a long question.
If you have any answer or know any insight, yeah, it's in the open Q&A questions asked at 10:53.
We can maybe break it down, Jose. So the first part is asking, within the time frame and budget provided for the project, is it sufficient to develop and present the solution, or do we need a pilot demonstration with real users as well? I think, Josefa, maybe this is also something that kind of probably helps in answering. But yeah, Jose, you can go on with the first part.
I think that the first part of the question is related more to the open call and to the evaluation of the solution. I cannot give you any proper answer to that. We need to implement the solution with real users, of course, but
Great. Yeah, for the first part, I just wanted to for you to answer while you are here, because we have a lot of people interested in this challenge. So the time frame and the budget provided for the project have been presented in the presentation previous to Katerina. So I've presented both the budget and the timeline. There are 2 stages within the RURACTIVE project, stage 1 and stage 2. While you're applying to enter both stages, but only the innovators who have successfully completed both stage 1, traveled to the Dynamo location, had the workshop with the Dynamo, and presented their solution, they're eligible to go to the stage 2. Only in the stage 2, there is development and possible pilot demonstration of the solution. But this really depends on the local context. Like we said, each Dynamo is specific. each challenge is quite specific, which is why we have the Dynamo representatives always here with us on the call, so they can answer any and all questions. Okay, I'll go back since I don't see, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, any other questions for Zamora specifically.
Yes, Josipa, please. There's another question from Anastasia. In the second case, are the local stakeholders going to be part of making the solution? No? Blah, blah, blah. I can, of course, we, Diputación de Zamora, and local stakeholders will give proper dissemination of the solution to the public. So in this case, the organization or the company don't need to include outreach activities if they don't want.
Great, thanks. Jose, I'll let you take a break from talking, and then just see some other hands raised, so I'll give them the floor to ask. Nadia, I see your hand is raised, so I'll give you the permission to talk and ask away your question. Go ahead, Nadia.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for this session, very helpful. I just had a couple of general questions, but a specific one on Challenge 2026. So you mentioned that there are some criteria to go from phase 1 to phase 2. And I was wondering if you could clarify those. You mentioned feasibility, implementability, and other things. Could you be a bit more specific to explain what are exactly the deliverables for phase 1 that will be evaluated at the end of phase 1, please?
Of course. So just to clarify, you mentioned Challenge 26, which is the building bridges and enhancing community cooperation. I believe that is Abruzzo, Italy, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Thanks. Okay, as with regards to the eligibility of stages 1 and stages 2, so like we talked about in the presentation, there is a part of the stage 1 where all of the innovators need to travel to the Dynamo location. So that's one of the eligibility. Then the second eligibility for the successful completion of stage 1 is to have the local workshop, co-tuning workshop with the Dynamo organization and the local stakeholders. This will, on one hand, allow you as the innovators to present your solution to the challenge, to both Dynamo and the local community, but then also for the partners, for the Dynamo to give feedback and receive feedback, and also to be able for you to co-tune your idea, your solution to the local background, to really specify it and have it, really be specific to that local situation. Then what you have to do is develop a detailed implementation plan. That is the deliverable, the only deliverable that we will require from you to be sent at the end of the stage 1. If also there is any ethical concerns in terms of, including any humans in the human testing or animals or so on, these kind of things will be, developed, of course, case by case basis. But then in the cases where there is approval from the ethical committee that is really required for you to complete, this will also need to be submitted. This also really depends on, every country's specific laws and also the specificities of your solution. But like I said, the stage 1 is finalized by submitting this proposal. So this is going to be, let's say, a revisal of the proposal that you submit in your application that would reflect the context and the knowledge of the specific Dynamo, so the challenge that you chose. And the stage 2 starts after the completion of these, let's say, 3 steps. So travel, this detailed implementation plan, and for you to plan the further technical, let's say, or integration within the Dynamos. And of course, if there is an ethical committee needed, this would be required as well. And then later on in the stage 2, there are specific goals and specific steps, also depending on the stage and the phase, let's say, that is happening. And then you can see all really details. I think it's table 4 and table 3. Called project stages and reporting. I showed one. I showed both of them, I guess, today. And there is also a payment scheme related to this. To these deliverables that are submitted. So the single amount in the first phase, you all receive 5,000 euros. And then if you are selected to go to the second stage based on the development and implementation and your work with the Dynamo, you will receive your payment in, let's say, steps, different kinds of payments on different steps of the process. I hope that answered your question, Nadia.
Yeah, no, thank you. That is really helpful. I just have a follow-up question, if that's okay.
Of course, go ahead.
So you mentioned obviously the tailoring and co-tuning of the solution to the local needs. In terms of support, two things I really would like to clarify. From your end, what is the data, prior need assessment, anything that will be available that we can build on? And also, what is the support in terms of stakeholder engagement to fast track, establishing relationships with local communities and any coordination? I mean, those communities are quite remote and have lots of different, obviously, existing structures, which I bet are very siloed from my experience. So I'm just wondering, what's the support from your end in terms of existing data and prior need assessment, and also the stakeholder sort of engagement, like coordination support to, I guess, get to work, to set up workshops and to set up relationship in the best way possible.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
For the question. I'll answer the first part, but then I also ask Katarina to share her part, because this is basically her expertise and work in the project as well. So basically, we have all of the 12 different dynamos, all of the challenges that Katarina has presented and that we have in the project were actually established and defined by the rural communities. So it was all of these common stakeholders that were brought together by the Dynamo partners. They've sat together, had plenty of workshops, and developed these specific challenges related to these specific needs. It also varies from rural community to rural community, but most of the information are available. In some cases, there's more, because in some cases, the Dynamo has worked on this prior, so they have really detailed information on, let's say, wastewater use, who is using it, the type of people engaged, the rural communities, everyone, up to, all of the details already prepared. In some cases, there is less, because there's really a need for this solution to be made applicable and be made available in the rural community. So in some cases, there is more information, in some cases, there is less. But what I can say is that you will be supported all throughout the way by not only the dynamos, so all the partners that work in the location together with the rural communities and the stakeholders, but by F6S team, who is on your side with regards to anything of your application, anything in regards to the technical aspects of the open call, but also Unipo, University of Bologna, who is our coordinator, but also is the work package leader for this whole Dynamo, all of the collective of the Dynamos. And then also we have dedicated mentors, which are other partners in this RURACTIVE project, who are there to be, guiding you also every step of the way. We'll have continuous meetings from the very start of your, let's say, kickoff meeting to introduce yourselves to the dynamos, but then later on, we really enhance a meeting depending on your collaboration and work with the dynamo. But yeah, as I've talked a lot, I'll give Katerina also to add on to anything that I might have missed.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a note about the fact that the open call is not a separate part of the co-development. It's really embedded in a co-development process that has already started. Josefa said that we already had a couple of workshops. We have had an open day. We have had it's part of a full process of mapping stakeholders, of like engaging them. We have a dynamo that has like a kind of, we call it local task force, but an operative group that really supports this kind of like relationship between a community of stakeholders and the dynamo in the coordinating role. So this process is already active and very well established. So the open call is running parallel to what we call like development of place-based solution. So it seems like it's kind of like challenges that the stakeholders are brought forward. So they already, the kind of like enlarged community, which we call rural innovation ecosystem, is already set. So you can rely on existing relations between stakeholders in those areas that the Dynamo has brought forward for the Open Call for Innovators challenges. So there's already an existing fabric of relations that is very well established on which you can build. Yeah, I hope that was helpful.
Exactly. Thanks, Katerina. Nadia, is that okay?
No, thank you. That was really, really helpful, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Okay, we'll move on to the next hand raised. Radu, I'll allow you to talk and ask away your question.
Yeah, sure. Hello. We have a project that is in the mobility sector, and we are interested in applying for a challenge in Abruzzo, the one in Italy. The problem, or what we want to know, is aside from the already listed towns there, if is there possibility to apply to some other city? We identify Sirvi, Pineti, there are towns that are much more and would be more suitable for our technology, which is a technology for public bus transportation in small towns.
I can answer this, Josefa, if you want, and then I can give the floor to someone for Borghi, and if they're here, I think maybe Julia is here. Josefa, if meanwhile you want to unmute them. No. So I mean, my short answer would be no, because as maybe relates to what I said before, we have a rural innovation ecosystem. We have like a kind of community relation that have been already set up. And the idea is more that the technology adapts and it's really tailored to those communities rather than the opposite, right? So in the challenge, I know there's a number of locations where those cooperatives are already active and where those relationships are already active, which constitute this rural innovation ecosystem. So what the Dynamo has asked, but I'm happy then to let Borghi talk, is to operate and apply this technology or this innovative solution to those specific locations.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason is because we researched all those small towns and are a bit below our targeted size. We, in general, target communities of 9 to 24 million. But would be possible, for example, to address to 2, 3 of those locations?
Absolutely. Yeah. This, like all the location, like it's, as you say, specifically because there's a very low population size and those towns are very small and remote, which is what RURACTIVE is targeting as a project. The challenge here or the issue here is really to connect them, because the issue is right. So working in a network is of course like a value. But Josefa, tell me, I don't want to talk for Borghi in.
Perfectly. I just was trying to find someone from Borghi, but I can't seem to find them.
They're not here, but yeah, like.
But I think you answered.
But if you have any other question and this was not clear, please you can also write an email to info open call, and then Josefa will take care of like directing you to the Dynamo.
Sure. But in general, it's all clear. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you for asking the question. Also, thank you, Kate, for a reminder to not just you, Radu, but everybody here. Please keep in mind that you can always send your questions to the open call at ruractive.eu. It's an email available both on our website, but I'll also send it to you after this webinar ends. So now I see another hand raised, which is Harun. So Harun, if you can go ahead and ask the question, the floor is yours.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
I actually typed my questions to the Q&A part in case I cannot ask, but let me repeat them if it's okay.
No worries. No, our goal is to go through first the hands raised, and then we'll go through the Q&A directly. It's either, as I said, it's either being answered by my colleague Luisa, or will be answered live right now. But yeah, go ahead through your questions.
Okay, these questions are also about the dynamos. My question addresses challenge 3. During the validation process, where will we analyze changes in the number of tourists and their length of stay? Although we will not be working with the entire region, only a selected part, will the source that provided 2023 data in the call document also supply the survey operations needed for this analysis?
Sure. I will ask Kate if you know the answer, or if there is somebody in the call.
If someone from Bubbleweb is here, Thomas, possibly, let me check. I'm happy to let them.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
I'll keep this question while you search for them. You can always give a permission to them to talk. But Harun, you can go and ask other questions not related to challenge 3, let's say mainly related to the open call, and we'll try to answer that first.
I can't let Klaus speak. I see he's here, but I can't let him speak. I don't have that power. Sorry, I only see.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, there it is. Here it is. Hi, Klaus. I hope you're okay with, I don't know if you have heard Harun's question related to your challenge, which is that during the validation process, where will they analyze the changes in number of tourists and the length of stay? So even though they will not be working with the entire region, only a selected part, will the source that provided 2023 data in the call also supply the survey operations needed for this analysis? I don't know, Klaus, if you know the answer and can answer to Harun.
Hello, yes. I'm sorry, I don't know the full answer to the questions, but I think it's the challenge is related to the whole region. And the number of tourists, we get the latest data. I don't know if 24 is already available, but there are not so much changes, I think. But maybe Nina is also here. If you find Nina, maybe she can
let us
a little more than me.
Are you able to?
I see Nina, but again, I'm not able, sorry, to let her speak.
I just did.
Excellent.
So
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Nina. Hi.
So we have a lot of data. We have data from the tourism associations and the Burgenland tourism, and we also have data for only the south of the Burgenland. And I'm also not. I also don't know if we have data for 2024 already available, but we absolutely will have these data.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Harun, did that respond to your question?
What I meant for asking these questions, I mean, during the validation process, of course, we will examine the effect of our solution. So, do we work with the same source that will provide these data about 2023, or do we need to make those analysis by ourselves and with our budget?
I think it depends on which solution or which product or whatever you call it you will develop. But if it's for the overall region, of course we can relate to the official data. But if there are specific spots you include in your solution, because I have absolutely no idea what you plan, it will depend on you, I guess. So it depends on which solution you develop.
Yeah, thank you, Nina. I think if you think that for your innovation and solution, the official data that the Dynamo can provide you are something that is, fit and enough for you to work with, or if your solution is requiring different kind of data, then that would be up to you to plan and gather those data. But as Nina says, it really depends on what kind of innovation you want to present.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Harun? Because I've seen that you posted a lot in the chat, so I would prefer to answer all of them right away. I saw that you asked if we design our solutions with significantly high capacity, is there a possibility for securing additional funding beyond the 60,000 grant? Well, also the short answer for this is no. The RURACTIVE Open Call only is able for the duration, this short duration within the project, like Katerina said, is a part of the entire process that we have with the rural communities, with the dynamos. So the 60,000 euros is the grant per each partner. If it's a consortium, the consortium as a whole can receive a greater funds than a single applicant, but no single applicant will receive more than 60,000. You are always, of course, since you will be employing these solutions directly in the Dynamo community, there is a possibility for further replication and deployment, also for the community needs, to even have the need for your solution and to employ it in other locations, or to pay for your further deployment there.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity.
No worries. Any other questions by you, or I can move on to the next raised hand, and then we'll go back, as I said, to the Q&A.
Okay, it's okay for me.
Okay.
I don't have questions.
I'll move on to Kirill, who also raised their hand, and I will ask you to speak, and yeah, go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, hello.
Hi, yes,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much for all the detailed answers. I wanted to follow up on what Radu asked and what was commented. And I'm not sure exactly that the short answer provided by Katerina was exactly correct, because I'm looking at the PDF at the RURACTIVE website of the actual challenge. And the challenge states that it focuses on addressing the lack of mobility in rural and remote areas of Abruzzo, especially in certain municipalities. So there is no single sentence about connecting any villages to each other. It doesn't state that. So that one I would like to clarify. So are we talking about villages themselves or connecting villages? And we see that the villages have 40, 60, 80 kilometers between them. They are scattered around the region. So just to avoid any confusion when looking at the challenge, would it be possible to clarify? And then the second clarification question with that would be, does it mean, it says, especially in municipalities where community cooperative work, and there are a few of them listed. So does it mean that besides those that are especially mentioned, though all the other ones which are also cooperatives are not interesting, or they can be treated as well?
Yeah, so I can start. And because no one from Borgin is here, but I know that Benedetta is here. In Unibo, we have mentors for each Dynamos. I know Benedetta is follow Borgin, so she can jump in and give you more clarification. So as we said, like in the process of co-development, we have set up a rural innovation ecosystem. So this rural innovation ecosystem is formed by a number of localities. So in this case, the localities that Borgin has chosen to work with are the community listed in the challenge. So you should imagine like a big kind of circle that takes in those communities that are listed in this challenge. So these are the communities or the location that the Dynamos would like the innovators to focus on when developing a solution for shared mobility. So the point of like the issue here is because, as you said, they're very remote. People have very many difficulties in accessing services. So those services, it means that when you are in a location, the service could be in the other location. So of course, you can present an innovation that could be working on a pilot, so one of those communities, right? Or you could present a different innovation that connects some of those communities to a number of services that are located in other of those communities. So the information was not exactly non-correct. It really depends on the solution that you want to implement based on how the territory is. So it really needs to be tailored on those very small, very remote areas that, because of their remoteness, have very limited access to basic services because they are scattered in the territory. So yeah, this is why the Dynamo has chosen to work on those specific locations and list those specific locations, because those are the communities that they already have relations with. Benedetta, I'm happy to give you the floor since Julia, I don't think is here, if you want to add something to specify a bit on this.
No, hello, hi. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Hi.
Okay. No, I mean, I totally agree with what you just said, Kate. And I think that the main point is it really depends on the kind of solution you would like to implement. But yeah, the point is that the territories, the municipality that they would like to work on are the one listed in the challenge, and they are okay with working on just one of them, or one on 2 or 3 of them, or on the whole list, let's say. But it really depends on what kind of innovation you would like to implement. So yeah, that's it.
That's some freedom, let's say.
Exactly.
Yeah, just to clarify, thank you very much for answering this. Just to clarify, we understand that they chose that, but we checked since it is linked, the website of the Dynamo is linked. In this case, it's the Cooperatives Association, Borgi. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly.
It's fine.
So, but okay, so sorry for being very picky on this one, but it says especially in municipalities, so it doesn't say only limited to those municipalities, it says especially, so they want to focus on those. So the others that they have as members, not just random in Abruzzo, but their members, the cooperatives, so basically they are the members of this Dynamo. Are they included or no? So because from reading this, I would say yes, they are, but now it's confusing.
I don't know who are you referring to, Sylvie and Pineto? Are you asking if
they are included? They are cooperatives in Sylvia and Pineto, yes. And they're listed on the website of Borgia. So
so the reference document to apply to the open call is the challenges that are presented on the website. So the template you can open from the website. So the cooperative, so Borgia, has a far more outreaching histories of relations with the territory of Abruzzo in general. In this moment, we are within RURACTIVEs. So the information on the challenge and who you should target are the ones that come from the project RURACTIVE. So in this case, the municipality that are listed. I apologize if maybe the phrasing was not perfected in the module, but we the webinar also is useful for giving precise information. So in this case,
thank you for that.
Maybe the especially was a bit like misleading, but in this case, the Dynamo has chosen to work on those one. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. And quick follow up then on that. When we're looking at the one that are listed in the actual challenge, for example, the first one, it's called Aielli, if I'm not wrong. Yes. So if we look at the map, actually, and as let's say, with some expertise in transportation for rural areas, we can say if it is considered only itself, this small village of Aielli, it's very difficult to solve the problem of access to services. And they even have the station, which is 2 kilometers away, the train station, which is like we can say in another village. The question here would be, if we apply targeting Aielli, is it possible that we say that we would want to involve the small village next to the station and the village which is called Cerchio, I think, next to it? So it's not even the cooperative, but otherwise it's not, the solution would not be sustainable. I mean, the transportation is not sustainable for such a small village. Because the villages listed have a distance between 60 kilometers. That's not solvable. There are villages that can be like conglomerates. One is listed in the call, another one is not. So is it possible to bring in the neighbors, so to say, the ones that are literally like next to them?
Benedetta, do you want to answer this? I think Benny?
No, please go, Kat, and then maybe you can.
I think this would be an excellent question to ask directly to the Dynamo. Of course, I understand where this question comes from. And of course, in your solution, you can kind of propose whatever you think is more feasible and makes more sense. Of course, the challenge that they brought forward is exactly because there's something like 60 kilometers from one village to each other, or because there's something like 2 kilometers to reach the station, right? The closest station. So whatever targets those long distances is something that they're asking for. And of course, you can propose to also involve the other village. Then the capacity to which you involve the stakeholders in the other village, it would be kind of up to you. Just because because they're not part of this Dynamo, this other village, there hasn't been a process already implemented with them, right? So so you would just kind of need to single out how you would foresee this process and to what level you would engage them, right? But I mean, I'm happy. If you can send an email to info open call, because then we can ask that question directly to the people in the Dynamo, and they can give you.
Yeah, we will do that.
Back there.
Thank you, Katerina, and thank you, Kirill, for your question.
Thank you very much. Yes, very clear. Thank you.
We need to hurry up to answer all of the questions because we have quite some in the chat. So I will give the floor to Andrea now to ask their question live. The floor is yours, Andrea.
Hello, thank you for giving me the floor, and thank you for the presentation. So I have a couple of questions for Challenge 15. The first one is regarding the target group. So does Dynamo team have access to the community, like with people with disabilities or visual impairments? Because the challenge is about them, and we're wondering, is it something that the applicant should search for, or does Dynamo Pro give us access to this kind of group? That's the first one.
Okay, let's answer the first one first. Just as a reminder, Challenge 15 is accessibility in nature-based and cultural tourism for people living with disabilities, and it's based in Zagori, Greece. But I'll give Kate, meanwhile.
Josefa, if you want, I think Dimitra is here, but meanwhile, I can maybe point out to the fact that in the template of the challenge, in the last part, Dynamo's also provided a series of available resources, right? So in available resources, the point number 2 is collaboration opportunities with local organizations, including disability advocacy groups and touring sports, to facilitate knowledge sharing and support for accessibility initiatives. So it means that the Dynamo can provide you with those already existing relations. But I'm happy if Dimitra adds a bit more about how their rural innovation ecosystem is composed in terms of the resources that they could provide to you in facilitating this relationship with people with disabilities.
Yes, hello. So yes, of course, we have part of we are working with people with disabilities and association locally in the region of Epirus. So of course we can bring you in contact later while the solution is implemented to co-work. And of course, as that's why it's also we put it as a challenge, because we the challenge was created with the help of them as well. We co-created this challenge. I hope it answers your questions, or if I can be more detailed.
No, that's fantastic, Dimitra. Thank you. It resolves one aspect that we were concerned and not sure how we approach this. So regarding the proposal, we will be referring and explaining how we will involve the target groups, and then that will be testing and validating the solutions that we have in mind, I will imagine. So it's part of the explanation.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, Dimitra said yes.
Okay, that's great. And I have another question, if I have a few more minutes on this, an important question as well, is regarding the open access the open access source, and also if we already have developed a proprietary technology and we want to add new features that will be for the Challenge 15, and it will be for this project. Does it mean that the previously owned technology needs to be as well open source, or can it only be open source what we develop in this project?
Well, I'm not myself an expert in the IP or IPR, but usually what we have in the open calls, when we have innovators who have a specific new technology coming in, which was already developed, they have the rights for that technology. The technology that has been developed with the help, if it has been developed in the process with the help of Dynamo, and then we always aim at the shared IPR to be agreed together between the innovator and the Dynamo. But I'll also ask Luisa, my colleague, to give her 2 cents on this. She's much more experienced in IPR.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So as Josepa said, so the IPR belongs to the organization. But for example, if something specific comes, it will be discussed case by case during the program with the coordinator, and also complying some EC rules regarding IPR. For example, joint ownership. So it needs to be discussed case by case. But in principle, the rules follow as usual, that the IPR, as Josepa said, will belong to the organization.
Great. Thank you very much, Lisa, for your answer and everyone.
You're welcome.
Andrea, as like we mentioned before, yeah, please, if you have further questions, you can always contact us at opencall@ruractive.eu, where we answer questions right away. I'll move on to the next raised hand, which I believe should be the last one. I'll ask Andrea and Kirill also to, if they don't have any further questions, just to lower their hand so we know how many we have left, and then after which we'll move on to the Q&A questions. So Robin, you have your hand raised. Yeah, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I have a question regarding the Swiss consortium. So first thing would be, when we're talking about Swiss partners and when we're talking about institutions, we're not talking about the same thing. Do I get that correctly? Because I'm a little bit confused that, like in the first call, like the first webinar, it was stated that a Swiss company can apply with another company that is not Swiss. Now, at the beginning of this webinar, it was stated that the Swiss, like a consortium that always has to be formed when you are applying as a Swiss company, has to be entirely, entirely composed out of Swiss companies. So I'd like to get some clarification on that. So can a Swiss company and, for example, a German company apply for a challenge?
Yeah, that was basically the question, because we had some conflicting rules coming from the SERI, Swiss entity, which is actually providing funding for this open call. So I believe I also already answered to someone as well in writing within the Q&A, but just to also answer live. So
Yeah, but like I read this.
no.
And the thing is, like, it can be formed by Swiss and EU institutions or only by Swiss partners. So this doesn't really answer the question if a Swiss company and a German company could apply for a challenge here in this RURACTIVE call, because EU institution companies, or does it only refer to EU institutions in the sense of institutions from the public sector, the government?
Because my answers could be confusing, I'll ask Mariana, who is our Swiss partner, who has been in touch with the study institution, just to provide a more clear answer. Mariana, if you can, go ahead.
Yes, hello. Thank you, Giuseppa, and thank you, Robin, for the question. Basically, both options would work. So entirely Swiss consortium would be funded by SERI. And if it's mixed consortium, that the Swiss partner would be financed by SERI, and another partner in this consortium would be financed through the EU budget. So basically, yes, you can apply as a consortium for a Swiss Dynamo challenge together with your German partner.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. And as the second part of Giuseppa's answer said that you are encouraged to focus on supporting the Swiss Dynamo, my second question would be, so is that a negative thing to apply to a non-Swiss Dynamo as a Swiss company? Is that like part of the evaluation?
No. You are free. You and anybody can apply to any challenge of any Dynamo. It's we are promoting the inclusivity and cross-border cooperation amongst all. So you are free to apply. Not just you, but anybody can apply to solve any challenge from any Dynamo. It doesn't have to be location specific. Of course, it is easier in terms of language, but by all means, you can all apply to solve any and all challenges. This is something that was written to us by SERI, so we decided just to include it there. But yeah, this is not something we take into account for the evaluation.
All right. Okay. And now a completely different question. When the solution includes installation of hardware, normally you have two options. You can sell the hardware to in this case would be to the dynamo. So it's like property of the dynamo for now and forever in the future. Or there's also like this kind of business model where you do like a renting concept. So my question is any of the two options preferred here in this RURACTIVE call?
Sorry, can you repeat the last part? Or is it? I didn't.
If any of the two options is the preferred option, I mean, you can in the solution, in the financial projections, we could either propose that the dynamo buys the hardware, so the hardware is like property of the dynamo of this region for forever, basically, or we could propose a renting model, so the hardware is not property from the dynamo or the region, but instead it pays a monthly or yearly fee that this hardware is provided. And my question is, which one of the two options is the preferred one in this RURACTIVE call?
Thanks for clarifying. I had some network issues, so I didn't catch the first.
No worries.
Yes, there is it. Well, during the evaluation, we have, as it's stated everywhere, we have engaged with external evaluators to avoid any potential conflict of interest or any bias. While they're evaluating the feasibility of your proposal based on the Dynamo challenge. So they'll go through with what you wrote and really see in terms of the impact, the implementation approach, quality and feasibility, and really does it work in the territory where it's going to be developed and validated. And further other things with 4 separate criteria that we have for the open call selection criteria. Well, basically, there is no preferred option. It really depends on the situation. So each
it's basically, if I just jump in, it's basically a cash flow question, right? So that's why I'm bringing this up, because in the end, this has to be a decision made by the dynamo, I guess, if they depending on their budget and how they are using the budget, etc. So I'm not really sure how to.
So in this case, what I would propose is in this first stage in your application, you write that there's 2 different separate options. So if you or anybody else that has these similar doubts are selected to go into the stage 1, in the stage 1, when you go working with the dynamos, you present the options and they see what works best for them in that criterion, either to rent, to see how it goes, possibly buy later on after the project even ends, the implementation ends, just buy it immediately straight away, so have later on no issues. It's really up to the dynamo. That's why we have this first stage where the innovators get funds to travel, to see the location, to get the input and possibly readjust their application with the new things that they've learned from the dynamo. I hope it makes sense.
Okay, yes, that makes sense. Thank you very much. So the same page limit still applies when doing that, because obviously this means proposing 2 different solutions, and we probably would need some extra space, but yeah.
No need for you to really go in so much detail, because there will be a second step, like I said, a report that you will have to send at the end of stage 1, because if you already have 2 different solutions, that's already a plus, because it gives the dynamos a way to really elaborate and decide on what's best for them and for their case. So I think it doesn't really it's not necessary for you to go really in depth on both. You can mention that you have both and describe the proprieties of one, but just say that one is the renting option and one is the buying option, and then that will be decided in stage 1, coming from stage 1 to stage 2 with the talks with the dynamo.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Robin, for your question. We have a last hand raised by Luciana. So go ahead, Luciana, ask your question, and the floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Ciao, Luciana. Thank you for joining.
Hi, Caterina.
Hi. There was a question about Aielli specifically.
Yeah.
Anna, do you hear me? Yeah. So there was a question about Aielli specifically and about the distance to the train station and the involvement of another possible village. That is not one of the ones that you specified in the challenge. Would you be able to answer to this?
Yeah, of course, it's possible to work with all the territory, but I think that we prefer to work on our cooperative community, and so with the place that are involved in Borgin, because this is the challenge is about our problem about mobility, and so if possible, better to work on our places.
I don't know if Kira is still here or I don't remember exactly the name of who else asked a question about this specific challenge, but yeah, in case.
Thank you.
Answer.
Thank you. Because we have only 5 more minutes, I'll try to quickly go through the Q&A questions and answer as much as possible. We would like to answer all if possible. So we received a question from Paula Sanchez, and this is where I'll ask my colleague Luisa to respond, is what specific requirements should be addressed in the creation, storage, and security of data section? Are there any guidelines or best practices to follow when describing these data types, storage security, and access conditions? Yes, so it really depends on a case-by-case basis, but I'll ask Luisa, I'll let her respond.
Yes, it depends on case by case. So probably in the beginning of the program, you receive all the information needed from a specific dynamo. We do not add this in this submission phase because we have different dynamos, different challenges, so it would require a lot of data to publish. So, but for sure, to submit the proposal, probably you not need this kind of detail that will be provided to you in the beginning of the program if selected.
Great. Thanks, Luisa. We'll move on with another question from Roger. Is the call intended for fully developed projects, or would projects still under development, for example, with features in progress, also be eligible? Would you classify this as an opportunity for implementation projects, feasibility studies, or both? We would say that it's both for the projects that are still under development, but also projects that are fully developed. It really depends, again, on the case by case basis. This is why we have so many different rural communities eligible and that are participating, that have different approaches and different challenges. Preferably, it would be that either the projects that are not yet developed to be developed within and implemented within the stage 2 of the RURACTIVE program. So stage 2 is really, stage 1, like I've said, is based for code tuning and working with the dynamos, after which you can be selected for stage 2, where you will need to both develop and implement and validate and test the solution and assess its impact. So yeah, all of the solutions that are not yet developed should be developed within the Innovators program, and those that have been developed should be then updated with the situation, local situation within the dynamo. If there's nothing to add from either Lisa and Kata, I will move on to the next question from Panayotis. Thank you for organizing the informative webinar. If an organization uses an already developed proprietary technology in a RURACTIVE funded project and adapts or adds new features to meet project needs, does the original technology also need to be open sourced, or does the open source requirement apply only to the newly developed components. In this case, does the IPR for the original technology remain fully with the beneficiary organization? I believe this was answered already by Luisa. Yeah, it really depends on case-by-case basis and on the IPR already in place by the innovator. If it's developed together with the Dynamo, there is a requirement for you to do a joint IPR. But if it's already developed fully by the innovator, it remains in the hands of the innovator. Luisa, anything that you want to add to this?
No, that's okay.
Great. Then John asked, good morning. In the proposal template, it has room for objectives and goals for stage 1. And in the guidelines document, it states that for stage 1, the goal is to engage with the local community and receive coaching. Should there be a deliverable for stage 1? Yes, there is a deliverable for stage 1, like I mentioned before. After the stage 1 ends, all of the outcome of the stage is a report of the activities that were developed together with Dynamo. It's the detailed implementation plan, and it needs to be sent 7 days before the end of stage 1. Okay, moving on for Roger, who asked, regarding the scope of Challenge 9, is the challenge limited to crop monitoring, agriculture, or does it extend to livestock and cattle management?
We have Becca here, so if you can give her the floor, Josepha.
Sorry, Becca is here. Yeah.
Hi, Becca.
Hello, can you hear me?
How are you?
Hi.
Great. Yes, the answer is it does extend to cattle. I think we responded to Giuseppa. I think you maybe emailed us that question, Roger, and we responded to Giuseppa to reply to say yes, it does extend. It's not just limited to crops.
Perfect. Thanks, Becca, as well. But yeah, it would be nice to receive the question the answer from the Dynamo. Thank you again.
Yes, no problem.
Okay, I'll move on to other questions that came from chat. So, stage 2, validate and test the solutions. What will be the validation process? This will be again agreed upon with the Dynamo. Each challenge has their own description of the validations. So if you click on the challenge and read more, there is, besides the location, the context description, and the scope, they have expected outcomes and specific objectives with that. So each Dynamo has its own specific context, and the validation will be coming from the Dynamo directly, and then later on validated by us, both Unibo and F6S, in order to approve and for you to receive the payments based on your stage. If there's nothing else for you guys to add, I'll move on to try to answer all of them in still the time frame. We're running a bit late, but yeah, let's be quick. Nadia asks, can I please double check whether the selected innovators will have access to prior needs assessment report and local residence data in phase 1? I believe that Nadia asked, let me just double check. She asked the question related to a specific challenge, but I'm trying to find out.
Nadia, was asking about Abruzzo.
Yes.
So of course, I mean, there's no need, I think, Luciana, from your side, because it's more of an open call kind of structuring question. So of course, during stage 1, there is a phase in which you go to the Dynamos, you interact with the Dynamo, and you tailor your solution. So you will have access to a series of information that the Dynamo will provide you.
Perfect.
But Luciana, if you want to add something, I'm happy. Huh?
Nothing is better than me.
Yeah.
Thank you, both Luciana and Kate. I'll move on to go over all of the questions. Nicole asked, Good morning. My question concerns challenges 29 and 30. I would like to know if the challenges were initiated by the village of Turbel or did RURACTIVE reach out to them? So all of the challenges were initiated by the rural community, by the stakeholders involved in the local workshops. So we have been working for them, as Kate explained previously, for quite some time. Outside of the scope of this open call. This is just a part of the process to both engage the community, engage the stakeholders, but also revitalize the rural aspects. So this was, yes, indeed, prompted by not just this challenge, but all of the challenges were prompted by rural regions and reflect the real needs of the dynamos and of that rural region and their stakeholders. Okay, I will also give a floor to Kate to answer the question regarding challenge 24 sent by an anonymous attendee.
Already answered.
Already
It's
answered.
so that we were having, with Sylvie Pineto and
You're right. It took me a while to read through it.
No worries.
Perfect. Okay, then Jakob Gustafsson asked, to what extent can we adapt the innovation or the solution between the stage 1 application and stage 2? I'm thinking what important requirements can be revealed in the workshop with stakeholders. Well, thank you, Jakob, for the question. It's really important question. So this first stage, coming into first stage, this is your proposal, and it's proposal for you to solve the challenge based on the description of the challenge. But of course, once you start really working hands-on on the location with the dynamos, things might change, things might adapt according to the needs. So it's perfectly fine to have this adapted to be more tailored to the dynamo's need. Again, I guess it really will depend from one case to another. But yes, it's preferable that you really listen to the dynamo and adapt based on their current needs. Okay, Paula Sanchez, I saw that Luisa is going to answer this question live, but I'll ask you, Luisa, what specific requirements should be addressed in the curation, storage, and the security of data section? Are there any guidelines for best practices to follow when describing data types, storage, or security?
I think I have already answered this question in the beginning.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, it was
Yes.
re-uploaded for
No worries.
for some reason. Sorry, Luisa. Let me go again through the challenges. Okay, now we're going back to the specific questions for the challenges. We have only 4 left. About Zagoris challenge 15, can you please let us know the distance covered by the path in the Listen Touch Feel program?
Very specific question for Dimitra.
Yes, give me just a second to allow Dimitra to talk to answer. If Dimitra, you know, what is the distance in kilometers covered by the path?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
No worries. So it's about Zagoris challenge 15. Can you please let us know the distance in kilometers, which is covered by the path of the program Listen, Touch, Feel? If you don't know
yeah, I don't know by heart, to be honest. It's a walk. Yeah, there's 2 trails basically. It's walkable, and I would say would be done in real time walking in around 1 hour.
Yes, but with stops, because we have to record the soundscape, and because of this, we have a path of normal of 2 kilometers that which we did in the past with the blind people, and another one that we did that it was very short, like 1,500 meters.
But if you want specific, you can just send an email through this.
All of this, of course, is depend from the potential of the people, because every time it is a different kind of specific group. Yes, we are talking about impaired people, but as you can understand, sometimes we have some children with us. Sometimes we have adults and or combined group. And this is very different. But if you need some information about the path that we did, of course, we can send you details.
Yeah, thank you, Panagiotta. Thank you, Dimitri.
You're welcome.
Yes, I remind all of you, if you haven't, if you still have some questions, if you haven't received an answer, or there's something else that is on your mind, please do send us an email at opencall@ruractive.eu. I just have two more quick questions for Jose from Karim. I hope Jose is still here. I'll allow him to talk, to read through the questions. So there is another question related to Challenge 8, digital healthcare for the dispersed rural population. Can we assume the majority of the elders are equipped with mobile phones? I don't
Hello
know.
again. Hello.
Hi,
Again. Yes, I cannot assure you 100%, but most of them have a mobile phone.
Perfect. And then just an additional question for the Challenge 8. You mentioned there are 5 municipalities or population centers. Would it be possible to share the names of those?
Well, when I said 5 municipalities, it was just an example. In the challenge, you can find that we are addressing the joint of municipalities with the name of
baby. I know. We're just
with the name of Tierra de Campos Panlampreana, that is made up of 24 municipalities. It is true that if the solution cannot apply for the whole joint of municipalities, we can go for 5, 10 municipalities. It's just an example. It depends on the solution.
Perfect.
So yeah, thank you, Jose. Again, those information are in the template for the challenge under scope of the challenge, in which is it is mentioned the community that Jose just mentioned.
Exactly. One last question that we have received, and then we will come to the end of this webinar, is related to the Challenge 12 for Andalusia, Spain. Came from Paula. She is asking, for Challenge 12, how many products do you foresee integrated in the digital solution? Are these only products produced in the area, or other products available from consumers in markets produced in other areas? And there's also 2 follow-up questions. Are local recipes and diets only considering local products? Or, for example, could fish be considered a part of the calculation? I don't know, Kate, if you've seen anyone.
Those are very extremely specific questions that I don't even know if someone can answer right now. Balam is probably not here, but we have Bio Azul. So Sarah, I don't know if you have an answer for this. Of course, there's always the option to send an email. But in case you have something to add, Sarah, we're happy to.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It is in fact very specific, but I can explain at least the initial idea we had. Mainly, we would like to focus on having a calculation for like basic products. We will have to see if this calculation can be done for the products like, for example, a tomato from the area specifically, or in general, a tomato that we can find the calculation like in Spain or something like that. And then based on that, we will build the calculation for recipes or for the global product that somebody can buy in the supermarket. But the main focus will be individual products. And then based on how this is developed, we will work on the rest. I don't know if I gave an enough explanation.
That's okay, Sarah. Thank you for explaining to Paula and anyone else that has any follow-up questions. Please keep in mind that we have a dedicated email address for this. Like I said before, it's opencall@ruractive.eu. .eu regarding some justifications for the Swiss institutions. Swiss institutions can join a consortium from another country to apply and offer a solution to RURACTIVE, provided it is reasonably justified. All Swiss participation in the consortium will be funded by SERI, the Swiss agency. I just wanted to add this, but I guess we have answered all of the questions that you have posed in both Q&A and by raising your hand. I want to say thank you all for your really thoughtful questions and engagement, and apologies for going a bit more over the time, but it's just so wonderful to see all of your enthusiasm and interest for this RURACTIVE Open Call. This brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you again for joining us and for your interest in not just the project, but this open call. I hope all of you end up applying. And please know that this webinar recording will be shared soon. And again, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us via email. I hope you have a great day, and we look forward to seeing your innovative applications to the open call. Goodbye for now.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.